Hello, new with BritishHeavyMetal.com here today. Something a little bit different. As you can see there, the graphic is a photograph of Saxon's Strong Arm of the Law tour program from all the way back over the winter in 1980 and 1981. And well, I found it in the loft, right, with some others. I'll try and make some sense about it in a second, but before I do that, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, clicking that little button, it's free, doesn't cost you anything, helps the channel, and there are hundreds of videos for you to look at, including this one and all future ones as well. But back to it, as I say, it's Saxon's Strong Arm and the Law tour program from 45 years ago. And if you're of a certain age, or in other words, very old, like I am, slightly tongue-in-cheek, you might recall the good old days of the late 1970s, early 1980s here in good old Blighty. The music scene was vibrant, wasn't it? The new wave of British heavy metal was taking off. Bands didn't take a decade between albums, and they toured regularly as well. Concert tickets were reasonably priced. And quite often, for less than a tenner, you could go to a concert, perhaps buy a programme, sometimes a t-shirt, have a couple of beers before or after, or sometimes both, and maybe have enough left for a kebab whilst you're walking back to the bus stop to get the bus home, and you'd still have some change in your pocket from that tenner. A bit different today, right, isn't it? It's not like today, old man rant time, when it seems to be all about enormous dome tours, ludicrously expensive ticket prices. Even at smaller venues, prices are a little bit steep, aren't they, sometimes, with all the extra involved: booking fee, thinking about it fee, collection fee, fee for the fee. It's mad. Anyway, I'm getting off topic a bit, aren't I? Anyway, I went up in the loft the other day, the first time I've been up there for about 30 years, because I've lived where I am now for about 30 years, and I've put stuff in the loft, forgotten about it. Anyway, I went up there the other day, and amongst all the stuff that was up there, I found a box full of old tour programs. This being one of them. They were all from the late 70s, early 80s, when you go to a concert, 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. I'd forgotten I'd still had them, and they must have followed me about over the years in various moves and whatnot. And then the last 30 years they've been up in the loft and forgotten about. There were about 20, 30 programs up there. I'm sure I had more, but some will have been lost over the years and whatnot. Anyway, and seeing all these old programs from 45 years and some nearly 50 years ago brought back all sorts of memories of many gigs gone by. And 2 of the programs that I found up there were Saxon. There was the Wheels of Steel tour program, and also this one, Strong Arm and the Law. Both tours from 1980. 45 years ago, would you believe? Remarkable. Back then, I didn't think too much of Saxon. Far too cheesy, I thought, and I thought that for many a year. But back then, you went to see a concert because you could. Didn't matter who it was. If it was a band, a reasonable rock band, you went to see them. And I've probably mentioned here on other Saxon related videos that back then in the old days I did think they were a bit too cheesy, but it could never be denied, could it, that they put on a good show. And back then, as I say, in the 80s, it didn't really matter who was playing, you just went. You went because it was a cheapish night out, and it was also a good way to check out support bands as a source of potential new music, because there was no internet back then for you to find stuff easily. It was all being there or word of mouth or whatever. Back to Saxon though, they could do no wrong in 1980, could they? Big breakthrough year. First came Wheels of Steel, surged them to the top of the Nawabban pile. You've got tracks such as the title track, 747 Strangers in the Night, Motorcycle Man, and many others that they still play live today. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, for Wheels of Steel at least, they appeared on Top of the Pops, right? Miming along to it. Who remembers that particular cringe fest every week? And with the success of Wheels of Steel, Strong Arm of the Law appeared just a few months later. See, no decade in between albums. Then 6 or 7 months, new album, bang. And again, like Wheels of Steel, they toured to support it. I went to see them on both tours, hence the programs that I found in the loft. I can't recall too many specifics, or even any specifics, because, well, it was 45 years ago, and I've got older and forgotten a lot. Though more than likely, I'll have gone along with a few mates. We'll have had a good night out, had a couple of beers afterwards, picked up one of those kebabs to walk back to the bus stop, because the distance between the kebab shop near the venue, the local city hall, and the bus stop was about a 10-minute walk, just enough time to get a kebab from the kebab shop just round the corner and walk back to the bus stop and finish it before you had to get on the bus. Anyway, despite Saxon over the years, right from back then, not being a band that particularly hit the spot for me, the last 2 studio albums I think are excellent, Carpe Diem and Hellfire and Damnation. There's review videos of them on the channel if you want to look for them. I'll try and put one of those card things in the top right hand corner if you'd like to do that. And it just got me all finding all these programs got me thinking about the old days, so I'll have to go through them and see what else, but did make me all nostalgic for the good old days, and to be a teenager again, living in the late 70s, early 80s, and not having to worry about anything really, other than having enough money every week to buy an album on a Saturday morning troll through record shops and go to concerts now and again. Life was much easier and cheaper, wasn't it? Anyway, before I get too misty-eyed and overly nostalgic, we'll leave it there. But it was really nice to find these old programs and just reminisce really to myself. And I thought I'd put these on because they are Saxon and Wobbin related. Anyway, there we are. It's about time I shut up, isn't it? Please do subscribe to the channel before you disappear, because that would be marvellous. And until next time, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and take care.